Hello, welcome to my channel. The main rule for the quilting is that there are no rules. You will learn, you will watch others, and you will find the methods and ways of quilting that works for you. And that's the most important thing, because you need to find what works for you to be able to enjoy the process. What you will see is my process of working with different materials and different designs, and I hope some of those tips and tricks will help you in your own journey. So one of the recent challenges we had in our quilting group, which is Southampton UK quilters, was to create a very small quilt for the project Linus. The size was given 20 by 24 inches finished, and also it was supposed to be full quilt, which is 3 layers: top, batting and backing. So for my project I have chosen to make a string piecing quilt. I've got a foundation piecing muslin, which is very thin cotton muslin, which is great for string piecing, and I will show you later bigger blocks as well. This is cut to 10.5 inches, which means you can do any blocks from that size down. I usually cut my muslin squares to about inch wider than I want to have a block squared up, just so to make it easier for myself. So with 10.5 you can go anything between 9.5 down. Because the quilt was calling for 20 by 24 inches ready, I've decided to go with 4.5 by 4.5 inches squares, and then obviously once they're sewn they will be 4 inches. So I took my 10.5 inches and I made 4 foundation piecing squares out of one. This is what I was starting from, and I did want to have a one strip in the middle, the same in all of the blocks. So how I go about my string piecing blocks is I'll cut as many squares as I need to finish my quilt. So whatever size block you will choose, just cut as many as you need, or you may decide to go with the big ones, then leave them as is, or just trim them a little bit to what you need. Why I'm doing it in one go is because then I will chain piece all of those blocks in one go as well. It just make it much easier and quicker, and then you have also much less ironing to do, which is what I don't like to do. So I'm trying to, in any work I do, I'm trying to eliminate as many ironing steps as possible. So that's how I go about it. So this is going to be a strip which is 1.5 inches, which will be my middle. And then I will be adding from various boxes of different leftovers. Those are the shirt fabric, but I also got some other bits and pieces from other projects. I'll be adding to the side other pieces. They not necessarily are cut all to the 1.5 inch. There might be other sizes, or even just really scrappy ones which are not cut to any size whatsoever. They will be used as well. And for the ends, if needed, I can use some leftover rectangle squares, or literally just scraps. So it's very scrappy friendly project in any size, to be fair. So let me just walk you through one of the squares, or one of the set of the squares, how I do it. I will just do it for 2, but like I said, just cut as many as you want to do. Decide on your layout, decide on your design, whether you want to have something in the middle the same or different, or at least the same shade. I'll show you later bigger squares I did for different quilt which had white in the middle. But to be fair, with the string quilts the possibilities are endless. So for this project I don't use my 1/4 inch foot, because it's really irrelevant what the seam allowance is going to be. I will just use the edge of the foot as my guidance on the width. If you think whatever your foot you've got is too big, if you can maybe move your needle, move it. If not, maybe find different foot which gives you better gauge, or just eyeball it. Honestly, it's not going to show at all anyway, so it's quite nice and flexible project to do. Okay, So obviously this square, as I said, is bigger than what I need, so I don't have to worry to make sure that this covers the edge also. So just more or less on diagonal the first strip, and then we'll be adding the second one, which, let's go with this blue. But what I don't want to do is waste my time and my fabric and my thread to go over what I need. So I've trimmed the fabric, and those bits, they could go in another block on the end. So just keep all the scraps, you might find them useful to finish another block. So here we go. What I would suggest is, because you will be trimming that block later, just get the stitch length a little bit shorter, maybe 2 or 1/8, depends what setting you can get on your machine. Just shorten it up a little bit. Okay, so I finish sewing first one, and I will go straight with the second one. So you would do that for all of the squares you have cut, for how many you need. Make sure the first strip is your right side up, and the second strip you will be adding to the side will be right side down. So this is not actual strip which is cut to any size. This is left over, and it will work nicely as well. As far as the width of that strip is at least an inch, I'm fine with that. So let me add it into the side. Now with the shared fabric, the good thing is either side is fine in most of the cases, so you don't even have to worry about that. So I sew a little bit, I will stop, and now I will trim my size, so to make sure I've got the left of it to another block. Okay, so if I said I would need, I don't know, 40 blocks, 45 or whatever the number is, I'll just carry on with chain piecing on the end. I'll cut the thread. I would not even cut in between the pieces. What I would do, just move that fabric away, the one which was sewn first, go back to your middle piece and add another strip. Let's see what we've got here. Yeah, this red one will look nice. Again, this is a cut off from when I was cutting the strips, so it's not even, but it doesn't matter. So I'll just add it in. I stop. I will trim to the size. Move away the first strip, and I will add another one. I can put this one again because this is different to the previous one. And you know, if you made more of those blocks, you know you will be putting them somewhere in different corners of the quilt anyway, so it's fine. Here you go. So you did all of the row of whatever amount of the squares you had. Then you will go to the iron board, and in one go you would iron those two things away to make it nice and flat. And I will do it now. I'll come back to the next round of the sewing. Okay, so I've ironed my blocks nice and flat. Let's get on with the next pass. So again, cut off is not really even, but it doesn't matter. So I don't have to start from the top. I'll start somewhere here. Little bit of flannel. Just on the subject of the flannel, because you know, when you're buying a a second-hand shirt to use for the projects, or you may find in one of the bundles I sell in my eBay shop. Sometimes on the right hand side they are very used, you can say, you know, that it doesn't look so great. Just use the left side as your right side. This one is perfectly fine. So this is nothing to worry about. Just turn it around and you have perfectly fine surface. And I've added the strips to both of the sides. I'll go back to iron now and have a look if I need to add more, or maybe on one of the sides I'm done already. We shall see. Here you go. So I still need to add corners here, and I think on this side I'm fine. Here I will need one corner here. So we finished covering the space of the foundation piece. So we know the blocks are at least 4.5 inches, which is what we needed for our project. I've got small ruler which is 5 inches, which I can use to cut it, but if you have a bigger one, just make sure you have the diagonal line here, because that will help you to kind of square it up with the middle piece. If you have even bigger ruler, what I would suggest, you can use this type of tape, the painter's tape, to kind of highlight how big your block is, so it will be easier for you to square it up. So let me just add it quickly and I will show you how you can work out on that. So that's 4.5 here, and then 4.5 this side. Here you go. So this is the square we're working towards too. So I just need to make sure that where my 4.5 inches are, I've got the fabric, that I eyeball more or less the middle of that block. Turn around the block, or if you have a smaller cutting mat, you can use it to just turn around the block on that smaller cutting mat. But then again, you come here, make sure you square up on this side. Let me just move it into on the angle a little bit. So that's my 4.5 here, that's my 4.5 there. Here you go, perfectly square 4.5 block, and you just do it with all the blocks you've made. So let me just quickly show you a bigger blocks I've made before. So this is the stack of the blocks I've made before for a different quilt. I haven't finished it yet. This block is 8.5 inches because that's the size of the ruler I've got. Really, it makes very convenient if the block you want to square to is the size of the ruler you have. So I've got multiple rulers just to make my life easy, but I haven't bought them in one go. I did buy them over the time. The first ruler I bought was 12.5 inches because that you know, you can cut any size from that, so you just start from there. But as you progress, you probably may have some preference about the size of the blocks you like working with, so if you do, just buy the ruler with that size. It will make your life much easier. So you see those blocks are 8.5, and I kept the white strip in the middle, but that strip is not the same width in all of those blocks, and it's fine. So you just work with what you have, and you can see the strips I've used are different width as well. In some cases, when I've run out of the strip, I will just put some pieces together. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different fabrics pieced together to make one strip. and that looks good, very good too, because it just adds variety. I had some strips made on the counting tape, again some leftovers, so I've added it as well. What else? Again here few bits sewn together, or it may have been a crumb block I've just trimmed to the size, or it was leftover from crumb block. So whatever you have you can use for those blocks. It's quite you know, the more you add to it, it actually looks better. So again here crumb block leftover, widths are different, those are 2.5, those will be 2, and there's some will be, like I said, some cut-offs which were not even, something like that goes into it. As far as they've got at least an inch width, so you have at least half an inch in your quilt, more or less, it's fine. And because you're not using the 1/4 inch foot for that, if the strip is narrower, you just make smaller seam allowance. That's why it's I said narrow down the length of the stitch, because that will help to keep the fabric if the seam you're using is smaller. So this is the finished quilt. I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 24.5 inches strip squares, and then on the edges I've added just 2.5 by 4.5 just to frame it a little more. But again, those are all scraps, none of them are the same all over. So what I will do now, I will sandwich it and I will quilt it. So what I will use for quilting this one is, actually I will do it on my normal machine, not on the Juki, because I would like to use some decorative stitches here. And here it is, finished mini quilt. This is a mini quilt, however it will make great wall hanging if you wish to. If you can make it as a table topper or put it on the top of the chest of drawers. You can make cushion covers, placemats, anything and everything really. It doesn't have to be quilt. So if I want to do a big quilt, I'll probably go with bigger squares because it will be quicker to make. But all the mini ones, they're really looking good. So for any smaller projects, I would definitely recommend it. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to my channel to support my work. For further inspiration and examples of my work, you can check my Instagram or Facebook page. Happy creating!